A lot of you might have an idea of what is tax deductible, but from what I see is that a lot of people aren't really sure what is not tax deductible and end up taking the wrong deductions on their taxes. I work with a lot of therapists in private practice, whether it be a solo practice or a group practice, somebody that just started or somebody that's been doing this for 15 plus years. There are a few common things that I see when a client starts working with me that they are thinking should be tax deductible, but it really is not. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Before we get there, my name is Jeanette Andrada, and in this video, we're going to talk about what deductions you are taking that you should not be taking. The first one is the one that I see probably the most out of all the ones that I'm going to talk about, and that's going to be personal meals. What I see a lot of the times is that a client will go to, let's say Starbucks, or they just go somewhere to eat breakfast. They end up taking their laptop and they end up working. They're, jotting down things in their notebook, taking notes, all of that stuff. And in their mind, it's like, hey, I'm working for my business, so I should get the tax deduction, right? Well, that's not really correct. In order to write off a meal, and there needs to be some type of business purpose behind it. So let's go over an example. Let's say you are just getting started and you are networking with another therapist that might be a good referral partner for you. You take them out for lunch, and then you guys just kind of get to know each other a little better, what you guys do, what your specialties are, and if there is room for a potential partnership. Because there is a business purpose behind it, even though maybe y'all talked about personal things, but ultimately there was a business purpose behind that meal, then you could absolutely write that off. When you are by yourself and you were just eating lunch, you were going to eat lunch regardless if you were working or not. That's one way to think about it as well. Now, you could network without having lunch, but it sure helps networking with people when you are talking over lunch and building that relationship, fostering that relationship. So it is tax deductible. Let's go to the next one, which surprisingly I see a lot. I do work with some therapists that are public speakers, or they might do presentations, or they might be on social media and their appearance is very important. So what I see being deducted are personal items such as clothing, makeup, hair appointments, nail appointments. The justification is always, I have to look good to do my job, right? But the IRS doesn't really like that, because let's say I go and I buy myself a very expensive dress, right? I want to look good. I'm going to be presenting in front of people. Well, I really can't write that off, because as soon as I walk off that stage, it's personal. I could use that at any point in time. Now, a workaround behind this is if you could have your logo on something. So let's say if you have t-shirts that you want to give away during this presentation, or that you want to wear in this presentation, or it doesn't even have to be in the presentation. You have clothes and you have your logo on it, then you could write that off as an advertising expense. So that's going to be a workaround. It doesn't have the same effect as going to Nordstrom or going to, a higher end store to buy yourself clothes. But if you really want to deduct clothes, that's going to be the way to do it. Another thing are personal grooming items, such as doing your nails, doing your hair, all of that stuff. We can't deduct. I mean, it's a personal expense. You don't need it to do business. And finally, we have makeup. I've seen this quite a bit, actually. I've seen clients that go to, the MAC counter at Macy's or wherever, and they purchase all this makeup because they have, let's say, a photo shoot that they need to go to. That's not going to be deductible. You're not going to just use that makeup for that one photo shoot. You're going to use that for personal, or you're going to end up keeping it. It doesn't have a business purpose, nor is it necessary for you to purchase. On the other hand, if you're a makeup artist, for example, you could absolutely write that off, because you are going to be using that specifically for your clients. But that's probably not the case if you're watching this video. Next, let's talk about what you're probably on right now, which is your cell phone. I don't know, maybe you're not, but a lot of people do use their cell phone for business related things, myself included. So I network a lot through social media. I create my videos and post them on social media. I use my phone for that. I use my phone to record videos to put on YouTube or to put on Instagram. So one might argue like, yeah, that could be business related. It is business related. I also work with a lot of clients that do something very similar, that are networking, that are creating videos, that are, on TikTok or on YouTube. In this day and age, we've combined our business and personal because of technology, right? Back then, you could have your own business line or even your business cell phone, or you could have your personal phone and your personal cell phone. Now everything's kind of mixed together, and it's really hard to find that line between, okay, I spent X amount of time here, X amount of time there. Now the IRS wants you to keep a log of how much time you spend on your cell phone for business versus how much it is spent for personal. I don't know about you, but I know I can't do that. There's too much going back and forth. I could be multitasking, or I could be just looking at different things, kind of setting aside, say, my social media, so I could call my mom. And tracking it is just not ideal, nor is it realistic. What I recommend for you to do is to take a percentage, and this is going to be an estimate. Some days you're going to use your phone more for business, some days you are not. So just get a really good estimate of how much time you're spending on each, and use percentages to identify this. It's not an easy formula. It's not a perfect formula, nor does it necessarily have to be, but you do want to get it as close as possible. The next one kind of goes hand in hand in terms of how we deduct it, and that's your home office deduction. Now, we can't go in and straight write off, let's say, our mortgage, or we can't go in and straight write off our internet that we use at our home as, the full business expense. However, we could write off a percentage. This one is a little bit easier to figure out than your cell phone expense, which is going to be the square footage of your home and the square footage of your home office. Using those two numbers, you come up with the percentage, and you could multiply that percentage by your total expenses. Now, what you have left is going to be your home office deduction. That, to me, makes it so much easier when calculating the home office expense. You want to make sure that you are tracking these expenses somewhere, because realistically, you're not going to pay for your electricity with your business income, right? So you want to make sure that you are tracking all of that. So by the time taxes come, you already have your expenses together, and then you're using that percentage to find out how much you're going to write off for the year. Did you find that helpful? I really hope you did. It's really important not just to know what is deductible, but also to know what is not deductible, so you don't get yourself in trouble later on in the future. If you're really enjoying this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That really helps me get my content out there to other therapists that are looking for answers just like you are. If you are interested in some free resources, head over to the link in my bio. You'll be directed to my storefront, where you could find free resources that will help you with the bookkeeping and accounting for your practice. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will talk to you next time.